My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I'm going to break down the entire UFC 284 fight card, giving you my picks, my predictions, and my bets. But before we talk about UFC 284, let's talk about last night's event, UFC Vegas 68. I hit every single bet that I put on the board, every single bet that I gave you. I hit all of them. All of them. I could not miss last night. I was on fire. The Doohoo Choi was refunded because that was a draw. Other than that, I hit all the money lines. The prop parlay, those odds changed. That's why this is highlighted yellow, because Mandy Bohm dropped. So the odds, they keep the parlay, but the odds go down. So you netted 4.2 units off of my bets from last night. 1.4 of those came from the exclusive members only safety parlay. That has netted 15.88 units of profit over the last 9 events. We are on an absolute tear and can't miss. So make sure you become a premium member now. Head on over to WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. It's only $10 a month, not $10 an event. It's $10 a month, and we are kicking off, I think it's 10 weeks in a row of UFC events, so you absolutely going to get your money's worth. And if a unit is only $10 for you, I just gave you 5 months, essentially, worth of membership last night alone. WeWantPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. The newest feature is the line movement tracker. Once you log in, click on bets, and there you will see this interactive chart that shows you the opening odds, the current odds, the implied probability. So that tells you what the odds are saying, percentage chance that person has to win the fight, and then the line movement. We had some pretty wild movement yesterday with Derek Lewis. This card, the first fight I'm going to break down, has some insane movement. We'll talk about that in a second. If you want $50 for free, I paid out, I forget how many people I paid this morning, but it was an unreasonable amount. Just go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. We have different sportsbook affiliate partners. If you use my link and you sign up and you make a deposit, I send you $50 as a thank you. They're going to pay me, and then I'm going to share some of that money with you. It's very simple. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up, make a deposit. I'll send you $50. And don't forget about our exclusive merch. We're running limited edition shirts. Most of these are for the true OGs, the insiders, and they understand what the shirt means and where it's going. But we're going to continue to roll these out. So just keep an eye on shop.wewantpicks.com. That's enough intro. Let's break down the card. This is UFC Perth. It's in Australia. A couple of awesome fights, 2 title fights, lots of regional fighters on this card, as they usually do when they head overseas. So opening it up, and actually, this fight order is definitely going to change. But as of now, opening up, we have Tyson Pedro taking on Modestas Bukauskas. Tyson Pedro, he's coming off 2 knockout wins, but do not let that fool you. He's a well-rounded guy, and he's actually more of a grappler than anything. He does not have the best takedowns, but he has no problem charging forward to get one. If you overcommit while striking with him, he's going to drop down to a double, and he's going to work through it. Once he hits the ground, he's looking to strike more than submit. But if you scramble and try to work your way out, he's going to snatch something up. He's coming off KO wins over Ike Villanueva and Harry Hunsucker. As I mentioned, he is more of a grappler. Don't let those knockouts fool you, but also don't let those knockouts fool you. Both of those guys are no longer with the UFC. Modestas Bukauskas is a versatile striker. He's dangerous on his feet. He tends to react instead of pushing the pace, which has gotten him into some trouble before, but he has all the tools to be successful in the UFC. Modestas has 0 takedowns in the UFC, but he's also never been taken down. He has a 100% takedown defense through 4 UFC fights. He was cut about a year ago, but then he put together 2 regional wins, and he's worked his way back into the UFC. This is the fight that had crazy line movement. So Pedro opened up as a minus 1,000 favorite, and instantly that was bet down to now he's about the minus 250 range. What that means is the Sharks. The Sharks are the people that hit the lines instantly, right? The people with big monies, the people with the literally algorithms and scrapers and things like that are monitoring the odds. They get the alert and they just attack it. So those people immediately determined this is a way inflated line, and they bet it all the way down to minus 250. So Tyson is still the favorite. I totally understand betting that down though, right? Modestas is going to be the better striker. He has absolutely no chin though, but he is the better striker. He has got a very solid takedown defense. So if he is piecing up Pedro with his speed and his technique, Pedro might have a hard time going to his plan B, which is the grappling. So I'm still picking Pedro here. The line movement, again, is from the Sharks, not from the public. The public line movement is after, right? What we call normalized odds. The initial opening, that flies up, down, or maybe it even stays the same. After a few days of that initial movement from Sharks, those are the normalized odds. And then that can be your new starting point, and then you see what the public is doing with it. Anyway, the normalized odds here for Tyson Pedro are about minus 250. I'm going to pick him to win. I am not confident enough to bet on him, even with the new deflated odds, but I may throw him in my Monkey Knife Fight Knockout Kings entry, so check that out. Whenever you get a chance, you pick any 3 fighters on a card, and if one of them wins by KO or TKO, you get paid. Very easy. We crush more often than we don't. And if you want to check that out, that's weonpicks.com/MKF. Then we have another massive favorite on this card. We have Zubaira Tukhugov taking on the Elves Brenner. Zubaira Tukhugov is a very good grappler with just okay stand-up. His wrestling is solid enough to get wins and has taken down almost every single opponent he's fought in the UFC, including Renato Moicano 3 times and Lerone Murphy 6. His submission defense is excellent, but because he has striking gaps, he can lose decisions to the better strikers in the division. Elves Brenner is a grappler who knows what he needs to do to win. He's got a loose striking style where he's basically just buying time and avoiding being hit. His goal is always to get you against the cage so he can work you to the ground. He will throw bombs in the pocket, and he is athletic enough to mix in kicks and spinning techniques, but you can tell he's not a striker. He'll turn away when strikes come at him. He'll always be backing up. He never really looks fully comfortable. However, if he is able to get this to the ground, he's going to be very dangerous. And odds on fights like this are pretty funny. Right now, Zubaira is a minus 500 favorite, but he's not a minus 500 guy, right? This isn't some dominant force that dismantles his opponents and he's going to be a huge favorite. The odds are what they are because of this very specific matchup. Elves Brenner is stepping up on short notice. And, even though Zubaira's stand-up isn't great, neither is Elves, but Zubaira's wrestling is fantastic. So the odds makers, and myself included, think Zubaira's going to come in here, get the takedowns, and just dominate on top while avoiding submissions. So Zubaira's definitely the pick. Both of these guys are tough. This most likely goes to a decision. And Zubaira, at least for me, is not a parlay piece. It is not a parlay piece. So I'm going to go ahead and leave him out of my parlays, but I am picking him to win this fight. Then we have Jamie Mullarkey taking on Francisco Prado. Jamie Mullarkey is a pretty well-rounded guy. He's a jack of all trades, but a master of none. He can wrestle with an average of more than 2 takedowns per fight. He can strike with 2 knockout wins in the UFC, but I'm not going to say he's great anywhere. Right? He's good at all of these things, but he's not going to come out there and be incredibly dominant at one specific thing. He is primarily a grappler, but he's been more of a striker as of late. He's coming off the split decision win over Michael Johnson, where he had way more volume, but he was knocked down. A lot of people think that decision should have gone the other way. Francisco Prado is a power striker who comes in hot with big looping shots and head kicks. He has a nice Muay Thai clinch and insane power, but he also keeps his head straight up in the air and can be touched. He can grapple as well, and while it's not his A plan, like it's not his go-to, he can shoot doubles and use his power to scoop you up and slam you down. He's incredibly explosive, incredibly dangerous, but he does tend to slow down as those fights go on. And this is a really tough pick. People love Jamie Mullarkey in this spot, and I'm not sure why. He's not the most athletic guy. He's not incredibly explosive, and while we have seen him have power in his hands, he's not that guy, right? He's not the oh my God, you have to watch out for Jamie Mullarkey guy. He's busy, he's tough, he's going to work for your money, but I do not like him as a 2-1 favorite against somebody as dangerous and as explosive as Francisco Prado. This feels like the Bruno Ferreira pick from a few weeks ago, but I was way more confident in that, so I'm not going to be betting on Prado here. This does feel like Prado's going to come out, be aggressive, try to get this done early, but Jamie's a smart guy. He's got the high fight IQ, so I can see him recognizing the power and going back to his grappling roots. It's also possible that in front of a hometown crowd, Jamie's going to be looking for that KO, and if he's doing that, if he's going to go strike for strike with Prado, I think he gets folded. So the pick's going to be Jamie Mullarkey. I am not betting on Jamie Mullarkey, especially not at these odds. I do worry about his willingness to engage when he should just stick to grappling. And Francisco Prado, anytime you get these explosive, undefeated guys, you don't really know if they're going to be a giant bust because they've been fighting nobodies, or if they're that, they're undefeated for a reason. So pick is Mullarkey, holding off, not going to bet on this just yet. I do think Mullarkey should stick to a grappling game plan here and not trade with the very explosive and very dangerous Francisco Prado. Then we have two UFC newcomers. We have Blake Bilder taking on Shane Young. Blake Bilder is an aggressive grappler who will shoot as soon as he gets an opportunity and then control from there. He explodes on the ground but doesn't take unnecessary risks, meaning he's going to explode to get to mount, explode to get the sweep, but he's not going to chase a submission that isn't there and then lose the entire position. He can strike as well with a loose style, but he can be a bit hittable. Shane Young is a solid striker out of city kickboxing. He likes to work forward with his jab to manage range and then control the center. He's constantly pumping that jab out, and as soon as he has the opportunity, he will string together combinations. He's more of a volume striker than a raw power guy, but he can definitely put you away. He's coming back after 2 losses in a year out of the cage, and this feels like Shane is only on this card because he's local, right? He hasn't competed in over a year, and he hasn't won a fight in 2 years. And I've used this analogy before, but this feels like it's when Al Iaquinta fought Bobby Green in MSG, right? It was more of a bucket list thing. I need to fight on a big pay-per-view in my hometown, and less of a career resurgence. I'm here because I'm going to try to get the title type run. With that being said, Shane is not a slouch. He can absolutely win this fight. But if he's going to need to keep it standing, and I just don't see him being able to keep this fight on its feet. Blake can be hittable, but he can also shoot a mean double and get this to the ground early, where he will have an incredible advantage. So Blake is definitely going to be the pick here. Then we have Loma Lookboonmee, and she's taking on Elise Reed. Loma Lookboonmee is a great Muay Thai striker with very good volume. She is small. She is undersized for the division, but she also has some big power. She has shown that she can be more than just a striker. She out-wrestled both Sam Hughes and Denise Gomes with 4 takedowns each. While her takedowns have greatly improved, if she gets taken down, she's not great on the ground. Her submission defense is solid, but, other than that, she's not really going to do much. She has a 74% takedown defense, but has been taken down 8 times in 4 fights. Elise Reed is a very active fighter. She never slows down and has very good power for the weight class. She has decent grappling and very good cardio as well. She can be hot and cold in her performances, though. She had a big upset win over Corey McKenna, where she was able to showcase how talented she actually is. But then she came back to get dismantled by Sam Hughes. She's coming off that win over Melissa Martinez, where she had a knockdown and 3 takedowns. And I love Loma here. She's very talented. She can win fights wherever she wants. Her 2 UFC losses are to Loopy, who bullied her, and Angela Hill, who's a tried and true vet. I think Loma can win the striking exchanges and will absolutely win the takedown game as well. Loma's the pick. My bet is probably going to be on the takedown lines when those drop. And if Loma is, minus 200 or better for the more takedown lines, 100% going to hit that. So make sure, if you're a premium member, you have your alerts on through Discord. So premium membership is through WeWantPicks.com. You can link your Discord for free. It doesn't cost anything. You can link your Discord, and what that allows you to do is get alerts to your phone. Your first one, bzz, bzz, Angelo just placed this bet. And it is very important with a lot of these prop bets, because the second they drop, we try to get on them. We try to be the sharks and hit them before those lines move. So make sure you go to WeWantPicks.com. Make sure you click Become a Member. After that, go to your account page and click Link Discord. Discord costs nothing. The Discord is free for everybody. Link your Discord. That'll give you access to the Premium Alerts channel, which is where you will get these alerts from anytime we place any bet, even for future bets, which is how you get ahead of a lot of these lines and get yourself some closing line value. So go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. It's freaking $10. It's $10. Jacob gave you a bunch of units last weekend. I gave you a bunch of units last night. The safety parlay is absolutely crushing. You get a DraftKings optimizer, all sorts of other tools for only $10 a month. And that takes us to Kleydson Rodrigues. He's taking on Shannon Ross. Kleydson Rodrigues is a pretty well-rounded prospect with a lot of potential. He's got a very versatile striking style where he mixes in kicks really well. He has power in his hands, but he throws a lot of those punches from his hips, so they're a bit telegraphed. His takedown defense can definitely use a little bit of work, but his takedown offense is solid. He has some nice trips and some nice clinch work. It's almost like a Greco wrestling style when he's, working the takedowns. When he's on top, he does a great job of establishing his positions and then striking from there. He's coming off the close loss to CJ Vergara, where he was very creative with his strikes and had some well-timed takedowns early. Shannon Ross is a pretty well-rounded guy. His primary discipline is wrestling, but he does get sucked back into firefights. His Contender Series loss showed how tough he is, but also how hittable he can be. He comes forward, puts on volume, throws with intent, but gets hit a ton. So he's a busy guy who fights hard, has solid takedowns, is willing to trade, but is also very hittable. He's explosive, dangerous, and he's never in a boring fight. Kleydson is very good everywhere and can make this fight look easy. He can also fold under the pressure and lose a close decision. This could look like that CJ Vergara fight with a ton of pressure from Shannon, but Kleydson doing well in the exchanges and still losing a close decision because he was backing up. So I don't see Shannon giving Kleydson a ton of room here. I think it's a constant forward pressure, but I think he's going to get hit a lot. He's just such a hittable guy, and you can tell he loves putting on a show. So he's likely going to be headhunting for the home crowd instead of grappling. Because of that, Kleidson's going to be the pick, but very low confidence spot in this fight. And that's going to be a theme here. We have a lot of local guys, and maybe I'm wrong. I could be overcomplicating some of these matchups here, but I feel like the local guys, they don't get to fight in Australia very often, let alone a giant pay-per-view with, their guy headlining. So I feel like some of them are going to come out swinging, looking to take your head off and abandoning what might be a little bit more boring, but the clear path to win. Because of that, Kleydson Rodrigues is going to be the pick, but we got to keep an eye on that going forward. Then we have Josh Culibao, and he's taking on Melsik Baghdasaryan. Josh Culibao is a solid striker who is aggressive and tough. He throws heat and is always live for a knockout. He's willing to engage in a dirty inside-the-pocket fight. He has no problem making it ugly, and you can see that with his dead even striking differentials. Literally, take one, give one, just back and forth. He's not much of a grappler, though, and while he has solid takedown defense at 82%, he is 0-4 on offensive takedown attempts. He's coming off the win over Seungwoo Choi, where he had an incredible timing, and it looked like he saw every single strike coming. It was Matrix-style striking defense in that fight. It's a bit of an exaggeration, but you get the point. Melsik Baghdasaryan started his career with 5 first-round knockouts before a decision on the Contender Series and then 2 official UFC wins. He's very aggressive and always moving forward. He has diverse striking and does a great job mixing things up. He will go to the body, he will use kicks, and he puts it all together really, really well. His forward pressure, power, and diversity is fun to watch. He's coming off the win over Bruno Souza, where frankly, he did not look great. If Bruno had a little bit more output in that fight, I think he would have won. So yes, it looks like a win on paper, but Bruno stepped up. I think it was short notice and just didn't push that pace. If he did, I felt like Bruno was going to win that fight. And this is a tough pick, and the odds reflect that. I think this is the most even fight on the card right now. I'm going to lean Culibao here. Melsik is likely the guy with more raw power, but Culibao should be faster and can manage range better. But if you look at their last fights, just their last fight, I have to go Culibao. He saw every single strike coming, and he looked great. Meanwhile, Melsik had issues with a short notice Bruno Souza. So Culibao's the pick here, but the bet is probably going to be a plus 3.5 on whatever side. So plus 3.5, that's a Bet Online exclusive. You can buy points on the judges' scorecard. So the way the math works out is if you bet the underdog, because you're going to get the better odds there. And as long as that fight is 29-28 or better, you're good. You win that bet. You'll get paid. So you could have the loser in a 29-28 decision and still win the bet, still cash that bet. So we love the plus 3.5. Sometimes the lines are super sharp. Sometimes they drop the ball. So depending who the underdog is here, I think this is a 29-28-ish type fight. And depending on what those odds look like, we'll keep an eye out there. Again, if you're a premium member, make sure you've linked your Discord. We have 1,500 something premium members at this point, but only I don't know, 500-ish of you have linked your Discord. Discord's free. Our Discord is free, but Discord in general is also free. Just make the account, link it for no reason other than getting the alerts to your phone when we drop our picks, drop our bets, and everything else. We're going to put them in there. Your phone's going to buzz, and then you're going to just follow and do bets and do whatever the hell you want. WeOwnPicks.com. At the top, click Become a Member. In the Account tab is when you can link your Discord. Then we have an interesting fight. We got Jack Jenkins, and he's taking on Don Shainis. Jack Jenkins is a stiff striker, and I get it. People love this guy for his kickboxing, but watching tape, he seems a bit stiff. He plots forward. He throws one strike at a time. He is fast. He does hit hard, but he doesn't mix it in combinations, right? He's not throwing a bunch of strikes. It's one plot, stuff like that. He pressures you against the cage and looks for control from there. In his Contender Series win, he was able to showcase his wrestling and his grappling as well. Overall, he's a powerful guy with multiple tools, but we have not yet seen him use everything together. We've seen him strike in a striking fight. We've seen him grapple in his last fight, but we really haven't seen fights where Jack Jenkins is just flowing smoothly back and forth between striking and grappling. Don Shainis is a tough Northeast guy who's well-rounded enough to bomb away on his feet and grapple on the ground. He's very tough, and he will always come forward. He doesn't initiate many offensive takedowns, but he does a great job catching kicks or working takedowns from scrambles. He is coming off the short notice loss to Sadiq Youssef, where uncharacteristically he shot a takedown and then he got caught in a guillotine and submitted. Jack's a stiff striker, but he is very powerful and he can chop your legs off. Don is a very tough guy, but his toughness can only get him so far. I like Jack to win this fight. I'm going to be interested to see what happens if Don comes in with a heavy wrestling game plan. So Jack's going to be the pick. It's probably a pretty safe bet as well. I want to see him mix things in. He's a very hyped prospect. People are loving this guy. So I'll buy in. Let's see him go. I want to see full MMA from him, though. I mean, obviously, if he just defends takedowns and knocks Shainis' head off, who cares, right? But it will be nice to see how he flows it all together as he works his way up the ladder. Then we got Jack Della Maddalena, everybody's favorite nose, and he's taking on Randy Brown. This is one of the more interesting fights on the card, and a lot of people are 100% positive regardless of what side they're on here. Randy Brown's a very good striker who uses his range really well. He's stupid tall for the weight class, and he does take advantage of that. He uses long jabs and kicks to keep you at bay, and then when he's ready, he's going to use his speed to initiate solid boxing exchanges. He's got nice trip takedowns with solid jiu-jitsu on the mat. He's very good and a lot of fun to watch. He's coming off that win over Francisco Trinaldo, where he was taken down, but he had his own knockdown, and he landed more total strikes. Jack Maddalena is a striker with an interesting style, right? He plots forward on his toes with a really nice step and jab, and then when his opponents respond, he takes big step backwards, and he restarts that cycle. He's got solid power. He showcased that in his last fight against Danny Roberts. In that fight, he uncharacteristically just bombed away. He's got a great jab, insane volume, solid takedown defense at 71%, but his offensive takedowns could use a little bit of work. I am a little bit surprised that the odds are wide here. Jack floating around anywhere from minus 250, minus 300-ish favorite. I do like him to win. I think people are just forgetting how solid Randy Brown is. He uses his reach well. He's got a solid chin, as you can see in that Chaos Williams fight. He's got solid BJJ, as you saw in the Francisco Trinaldo fight. But the reason I am going to lean Jack here is his volume, that nonstop jab, is insane, and it's probably going to be too much, meaning with that jab in Randy Brown's face the entire time, I don't know if he's going to have the time to hit a rhythm and work his way out, get away from that jab, and start getting his own thing going. But if Jack is bombing away, looking for a knockout like he did in his last fight, I think Randy will hit a rhythm and will have success. So Jack's going to be the pick. He's probably a safe pick. I just hope he fights his fight and he doesn't start to turn into a power guy, a headhunter, or anything like that, because that's not who he is as a fighter traditionally. Then we have another interesting fight. And I'll tell you right now, my opinion is probably not going to be the popular one here. We got Jimmy Crute taking on Alonzo Menifield. Jimmy Crute's a solid wrestler. He averages almost 5 takedowns per fight. Even in the loss to Anthony Smith, when his leg just fell apart, he had 3 takedowns. What is always deceiving about the high volume takedown stats, though, right? He has 5. It means your opponents are getting up. 5 takedowns means his opponents got up 4 times. He's not just a pure grappler, though. He does have 1-punch knockout power and a pretty solid 2-to-1 striking differential. He's coming off the 48-second knockout loss, but it's to the now champion Jamal Hill. Alonzo Menifield has incredible power, great takedown defense, and he's looking to take your head off with every single punch. His striking is wild. It's definitely sloppy, but the power is undeniable. He is confident in his 85% takedown defense, which only makes him more dangerous and willing to swing wild because he knows if you're going to shoot, he'll probably be able to defend it. He's coming off the win over Misha Serkinov, where he did showcase that insane power, but also his lack of striking technique. I mean, the dude, it's like windmill punches, but holy crap, do they come in hot. And I said crap instead of the other word because YouTube's, they're cracking down on the curse words. A technical striker with solid footwork and a jab is going to light up Alonzo Menifield. He will be a step behind. His face will be hamburger meat, and that dude is going to get lit up by anybody with footwork and a jab. That's not Jimmy. Jimmy's a wrestler. He does have 1-punch knockout power, but he's a wrestler. I see Jimmy looking to grapple early, especially after his last fight when he was put out. And I think Alonzo's takedown defense is going to hold up, and he's going to get the win. I fully recognize how absolutely sloppy Alonzo's striking is, but I also recognize how good his takedown defense is and the fact that Jimmy can be chinny. So Alonzo's the pick. I do have a small bet on him. I have a quarter of a unit. For me, a unit is $100, so I have a $25 bet on Alonzo Menifield at plus 185. I also am going to throw him in my Monkey Knife Fight Knockout Kings entry. So if you want to check that out, weonpicks.com/MKF. They will instantly match your deposit. So if you give them 50, they'll give you 50. If you give them 100, they'll give you 100. And all you need to do is pick any 3, including 2 people fighting each other, any 3 fighters on a card, throw them in there, and if one of them wins by KO or TKO, you get yourself paid. It's actually a little too easy. But anyway, I think Alonzo Menifield's takedown defense holds up. He bombs away, and I do think he gets it done. But we'll see. That's why it's only a quarter of a unit. Listen, I'm going to make this a very quick breakdown. A very quick breakdown. We got Justin Tafa taking on Parker Porter. Everybody wants to be the funny guy. All these dorks on their streams, they just take pot shots at Parker, right? He's become the Nickelback of capper shows. Everybody has some stupid little thing that they say, and they think they're so funny, and none of them are funny. And people pretend that Parker sucks, but he doesn't. Here's the reality of this matchup. Justin Tafa is the Wish version of Tai Tuivasa. Big dude, raw power, solid chin, but it ends there. His footwork is non-existent. His grappling is non-existent. He has a negative striking differential. We watched Tafa get smoked by Jared Vanderaa, and he did that with sheer volume. Jared Vanderaa smoked, who's no longer in the UFC, won 1 fight in 28 years, smoked Justin Tafa with just straight up volume. Let's not forget Parker Porter literally set the UFC's significant strike record and then broke his own record. He has the volume. He has footwork. He has wrestling if he needs it. I love this matchup for Parker. I can see him constantly moving with that footwork and just lighting up Tafa's face. Obviously, Tafa's got incredible power. He's got an incredible chin, and he can catch Parker. This is a heavyweight fight. I have a half a unit bet on Parker Porter at plus 125. When the props drop, we might be able to get plus money on Tafa by KO and plus money on Parker by decision. Those are the 2 most likely outcomes in this fight. We may have an arbitrage-ish type situation. Parker is a personal friend of mine, so I'm going to put that out there. But frankly, everything I said, friend or not, I don't see the love for Justin Tafa. I don't understand the pot shots at Parker. The guy came in the UFC short notice, made his UFC debut 2 weeks after having a baby, got stopped by Chris Daukaus. Strung together 3 solid wins, and then he just lost to Jalton Almeida. Jalton Almeida is working everybody and might be the champion this time next year. Parker Porter's the pick. Half a unit money line bet on him at plus 125. I have no idea what the odds are going to do there. Every asshole like myself who has a camera is going to do a cap show. They're going to make their stupid jokes. They're going to pretend that, whatever. And that might actually move the line and Parker might become a larger favorite. Or people might look at it and be like, Justin Tafa sucks. And then the line's going to go the other way. So I don't know what's going to happen there. Let me know what you guys think. I'm 100% positive everybody that wants to be funny is not going to agree with that take. But anyway, that's the take. Then we have the co-main event of the evening, the interim featherweight title fight, because Volkanovski is going up to lightweight in the main event. So we got to do something with that belt in the meantime. We got Yair Rodrigues taking on Josh Emmett. Yair Rodrigues is a fun, athletic guy who will spin kick his way to a knockout and entertain you the entire time he's in the cage. He's tough to deal with because his striking is so unpredictable. And even if it opens him up for takedowns, he's capable enough to throw up submissions or create a scramble and stand back up. He has had an interesting few years, though. He had a 2-year layoff. Then he came back to fight Max Holloway in a banger, but he did ultimately lose that fight because Max was busier, more accurate, and had the takedowns. Then he fought Brian Ortega in a main event, but that ended inside the first round because of a freak injury. If you're new here, don't just see that Yair Rodrigues won by KO in his last fight or TKO in his last fight. That's not what happened. Yair is talented, but it is debatable if he earned this title shot, at least with his last couple of fights. His greater body of work, the dude is incredibly talented. Josh Emmett is a wrestler with legit power in his hands, who I may not be able to call a wrestler anymore. He's got so much power in his hands that if you dig into his fights, you'll see that he has 11 knockdowns in 10 fights, and that includes losses. You'll see he averages more than 1 takedown per fight, but that's deceiving because 8 of his 10 takedowns in the UFC came from 1 fight. So the reality is that Josh Emmett is a wrestler who doesn't use his wrestling because he's got great speed and power in his hands. He's coming off that close win over Calvin Kattar where Calvin was definitely a little sharper, but Josh's power was the difference. Calvin Kattar just wore it on his face. It's almost like a Cheeto Vera situation where Cheeto is always landing fewer strikes, seemingly a step behind, but he's got so much power, even if he doesn't get the stoppage, his opponents are just beat to absolute hell. And this should be an incredibly fun fight. Yair is more diverse. He's more athletic, but Josh is more powerful, and I would say more well-rounded because of the wrestling. I like Josh in this matchup, but I do want him to wrestle. He tried to take down Calvin, and he couldn't. So he did try to wrestle in that fight, but Calvin has much better takedown defense than Yair. If Josh can work in takedowns and touch Yair with some of that big power, this will absolutely be his fight, but he needs to stay close, meaning physically close, and grind, because if he tries to play this outside game, Yair is going to get creative with his striking and run away with this win. So very close fight, but Emmett's the pick, and I do have a half a unit on him at plus 135. I got a lot of plus money bets on this card. I don't know why. That's just the read I got. I'm not a guy, anybody who's watching me for a while, I don't go searching for plus bets, right? I find spots that I'm confident in and I shoot my shots. We're up units from UFC Vegas 68 last night. A couple of those bets were minus 200s. I laid out 2 units to win 1 unit. So I'm not just looking for plus bets, but on this card, for whatever reason, I've got a couple flying. Then we got the main event of the evening. We have Islam Makhachev defending his lightweight belt for the first time ever against Alexander Volkanovski. This is an old picture of Alex. He's got hair. But hey, he's not defending his belt here. So I had to go back and find a picture of him without a belt. This dude has been champion for 3 years, and even though he's only fought 3 different people, he's putting together quite the legacy for himself. Alexander's a good striker who has legit speed with his hands and feet. He uses kicks really well. He uses combinations to set up very clean takedowns. He's a short guy, but he doesn't struggle finding the head or getting to the hips. He's very strong, but he does not have knockout power. He's got a 73% takedown defense, an incredible 7 significant strike per minute rate, and he averages almost 2 of his own takedowns per 15 minutes. But he is fighting Islam Makhachev. He is an insane wrestler with very good hands. His grappling is aggressive, and he's always looking to advance, punish, or finish. He doesn't just camp out looking for a decision win. We've mentioned this before, almost every time I break down Islam, actually, but Javier Mendez is on record as saying the only time he's ever seen Khabib lose rounds and sort of get it handed to him is in training against Islam. Islam is absolutely the complete package. He averages more than 3 takedowns per fight, and you may think that's low, right? Who did we talk about earlier that has 5? Jimmy Crute, 5 takedowns per fight for Jimmy Crute. Islam's only at 3. That's because when Islam takes you down, you don't get back up. You're there for the rest of that round if you don't get stopped. He's coming off that title win over Charles Oliveira where he looked great on his feet and on the ground. And Alexander might go down as the greatest 145-pounder of all time, but he's not winning this fight. He's just not going to win this fight. There's a great hype video, and Jacob sent it to me, and I love it. A great hype video where Alexander is talking about, I'm small, but I'm mighty. It's not that stupid. It's not as corny as I'm small, but mighty. But it's something to that effect. I'm small, but mighty. You're going to feel how strong I am. You're going to see that I don't stop. You're going to see that I'm going to come back up. Like, it is great, and I am 1,000% sure that is how Alexander Volkanovski is going to fight. I am positive that he is going to give it everything. He is not a quitter. He is busy. He's got cardio. He is strong. He's all the things that will make him the greatest 45-pounder of all time. What he is not is big enough to beat Islam. His takedown defense is a bit lagging. Brian Ortega has a 23% takedown accuracy. 23%. He took down Volkanovski twice. I have no doubt that Islam is going to get his own takedowns when he wants them. Volk is not dangerous, and that's the problem here. Charles Oliveira is dangerous. Islam had to worry about a lot of stuff in that fight. He doesn't have to worry about anything with Volkanovski other than being outworked. There's not the one-punch knockout power. There's not the wild submission threat. The only way Alexander Volkanovski wins this fight is if he somehow outworks Islam. I just absolutely do not see that happening. I have a 3-unit moneyline bet on Islam at -330. I got that a month or two ago. Premium members, you have seen that just sitting there. It's just been sitting there in the future bet section of premium membership. It's ballooned up. It's in the 4s now. This is going to continue to move. I think he's going to close in a -500 something favorite. I think Islam is safe for parlays. I don't want this to be disrespectful to Volkanovski, and that's the problem with the internet and Twitter and anybody that has an opinion. If you're on the other side, they don't look at it logically. It's just, you're an idiot, clown emoji. When it's like, listen, I can respect Alexander Volkanovski and recognize him as the greatest 45-pounder of all time and understand that he's going to get his clock cleaned in this matchup. Those are two very different things. Anyway, that's the breakdown, guys. Make sure you become a premium member. It's only $10 a month. And when I tell you with 100% sincerity, that $10 will never change. It will never change. We're going to continue to add features, continue to add functionality. We added DFS cheat sheets. We added the line movement tracker, and we are constantly adding more benefits. Our live call-in shows, premium members only. Is that a reason to spend $10? If you want to talk to us live, maybe. Anyway, WeWantPicks.com at the top, click become a member. You have nothing to lose. We're hitting, I don't know how many weeks. Let me know. It's like 10 or 12 in a row of fights every single Saturday for the extended period of time. That $10 will get you 4 events minimum, maybe 5 depending on the day, and we get our content. Sundays, it flips over to the next event. So right now, WeWantPicks.com has been flipped to UFC 284. Sign up now at the top. Click become a member. If you want $50, I will send you $50. I send thousands of dollars out a month. And all you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. We have different sportsbook affiliate partners. Use the link, make a deposit with your new account, and then I send you $50 as a thank you. They're going to pay me, obviously, and then I'm going to pay you. I'm going to share the wealth. We are in this together. And when I say thank you guys very much for everything, that is sincere. We are building a community, and we're doing it the best ever. Our ratio of subscribers to live viewers, subscribers to video views, is absolutely crushing anybody in this space. Hell, our ratio of subscribers to premium members, it's not even, we have over 1,500 premium members. There are people doing this for a year, 2 years that have like 300 and they're lying saying they have 5. I appreciate every last one of you, even though I am prickly and salty and nasty. That's the Northeast in me. That's the Northeast in me. But I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you all very, very much. Don't forget, we have some cool merch. This one specifically, we have a mega troll. And this shirt, why not profit off the back of your trolls? There's some Easter eggs built into this on the spine of the books. Shop.wewantpicks.com. There's 2 exclusive limited edition shirts up there now. And as plot lines emerge, as things happen, we'll continue to make more. Guys, thank you so much. WeWantPicks.com for everything. Let me know in the comments what you think and join our Discord. The Discord is 100% free and we will have new content 7 days a week.